Howdy y'all, you got the Bulldog on the channel. Not a bright sunshiny day. Not figuratively anyway. Literally it is. We've got an issue here. We have an intermittent charging system light. Now here's the issue with it. It only seems to come on when everything's all warmed up. It seems to work fine when it's cold, and then it comes on later on. Whenever these charging system problems are intermittent, 9 times out of 10 is going to be an alternator. The difference is why. If it is charging when it's cold and then it quits when it gets hot, then you're looking at an electronic component inside the alternator. If it doesn't charge when it's cold, but it starts charging later on, you're looking at maybe brushes or something like that. Let's take a direct reading off of it and make sure we're not charging. Well, that doesn't look good at all. So we're gonna check on this. We're not charging sufficiently. Unfortunately, the hot failure is something that it's a little bit more difficult to diagnose. A cold failure, whenever it's not charging, you just whack the alternator with something heavy. Not beat on it, just tap it. Tiny, tiny, tiny tap, tiny tap. And the brushes will drop down and make contact and start charging. When you have an electronic failure inside of it, like the rectifier bridge or something is getting hot and quitting, then it's a little bit more difficult to diagnose. But still, you have to get a direct reading off the back of the alternator. The computerized ones are a little bit more difficult because sometimes the computer won't call for them to charge or something along those lines. So they're a little bit more tricky to diagnose. All right, we got 12 volts, 11.9. That's down there at the alternator, at the stud itself. I bumped around on the alternator, we did not start charging. Quick check on the codes. We've got a field circuit low. So yeah, we're most likely looking at an alternator. The thing has a ton of miles on it, but I think that alternator's been replaced at least once. Okay, it doesn't look like this job calls for a huge amount of time, like not 3, 4, 5 hours, but it does not look like it comes out from the top. I'm gonna try to do it from the side here. So we got it up on the lift. I'm gonna pull this wheel off, and we're gonna get back in there after pulling this inner splash shield off and see what it looks like. Okay, I've got the alternator all loose. That's the easy part. The stud up there that you take out. And then this bolt here, you take it out a little ways. The alternator is slotted, as you see, but it goes over to the other side, so you have to back the bolt out and then slide it out, but you don't have to remove it all the way. That's where somebody is thinking and can do something like that. You don't have to pull the bolt all the way out, and that way you're not hitting the body and cussing somebody and having to drop the suspension to do it. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is pull the cooling fans out and go out the top, because there's no way to get out down here. Now I pulled the tensioner out. Tensioner goes in those 3 holes right there. Just get it out of the way, and it covers up that bolt there too. So you get it out of the way, you can work around it. It's not that too difficult. There's 3 8mm headed bolts right there to take out. All right, we're draining the coolant out down there, and we've pulled the air box out so that it gives us access to this cooling fan. And it doesn't look like it's going to be too fun, but it might surprise us. We're going to pull the upper hose off over here, and we'll just lay it back up on top of the motor. This air box is easy to come out. You got 2 bolts up here for the air snorkel, and it pops out of that saddle right there. Okay, I got the fans out. This clip right here, stick something down along the back side of it and wiggle it, and it'll pop it out. This holds the radiator hose in place. I'll show you that in a minute. The electric on this one comes out the bottom and wraps its way up. Electric on this one comes out this corner right here and kind of wraps around. Comes out pretty easy. Leaves you quite a bit of room in there. Here's this piece. These things can be maddening, but you slide something down in there and pry out on this just a freckle, and it'll release it, and you slide that up out of there, And now you don't have a giant hook sitting here trying to snag everything. It barely comes out, so don't make it harder on yourself. Bolts are attached here and here, and it's saddled in the bottom. Okay, I got that thing out last night and I tapped out. It was almost 8 o'clock and I don't do 100-hour weeks like I used to. But that makes it kind of easy to get in there. Got that empty hole. And we'll take a look at this old alternator. As you can see, it is not very old. It hasn't been on there long. And just checked the tag there and found out what it was, because I kind of recognized the number. Customer was by in the middle of the day. Yeah, they work over here kind of local, or the wife does. So I'd left my car over there and drove this back, and they came pick me up so that I could get my car and get it all back. And so I was able to talk to the husband on it, and I had kind of remembered something about that, but he told me, he's like, yeah, that was when you were really, really busy, and we took it to the other place. And I said, well, I know where that alternator come from then. I know what store it came from. And he says, really? I said, yeah, guess why we stopped using them? I don't think it's been on there, but maybe a year and a half. So, yeah, we had to, there's one store that we had to stop using for these particular parts because repeat failures. Anyway, we got a different one here we're going to put on it. Hopefully we don't have issues with it. And with all that stuff out of the way, it should be a lot easier to put back in there. Like I say, I've never done one of these before, and I had it apart in about an hour and a half maybe. It was after hours before I even started on it. So yeah, you're supposed to be able to do the whole job in the time it took me to take it apart. But like I say, I've never done one of these before. So we're gonna knock this thing back together and make sure everything charges. One thing I will point out is to all you engineers out there, something as simple as that, this cutout right here, makes a world of difference. As I said earlier, you can just back the bolt out a little bit. Not only do you not have to take the bolt completely out to get the part off, but you have something to set it on. There's a saddle there. You can just set it on that bolt and rotate it up into place. Something so very simple that makes our job so much easier. And it doesn't really cost hardly anything. Don't blame the accountants. This is thinking. Some engineer understood the assignment. Okay, we got it reinstalled right there. Now we're gonna drop in the cooling fan back into place. Okay, it's all reinstalled. Wiring's put back into place. What is still there, a lot of it was unhooked already and kind of hanging loose. I put back together what wasn't broken. You see here. Here's this hook that I was telling you about and how it hooks in. The clip's on the back side, so you can't get it loose. But as you see, it sticks out, and getting that out of the way makes a big difference. I forgot to show that before, so I'll show it now. Now we'll just put the upper hose back into place right there, and go back down, put the tensioner back on, put the belt on. Okay, got the belt all on and everything. This tensioner here, got these little 8mm headed bolts. There's 3 of them, one, and on the other side of it over here. A little bit fun to get to. This here is nice. See the rust? I don't know how long that's been running like that, but it's all back on. And we're gonna put this shield back in place, and I'll put the wheel back on, hook up the battery, and make sure everything charges. Okay, we're still running 14.5. It's cycling back and forth as it turns it on and off, or varies the voltage anyway. We're running a good voltage. I'll make sure we got our coolant back up to level. I put in everything that I took out, so anyway, I didn't spill any, so that should be good, and that'll take care of this one. like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. We'll talk to you later.